The bedroom doors closed behind Mila with a sound far too soft for something that felt so final. She did not turn around. That would have required looking at the man who had become her husband less than 3 hours ago. Behind her, the lock clicked. Mila's fingers tightened around the folds of her wedding dress. Not because Kang Min-jae had touched her. He hadn't. That was somehow worse. Min-jae simply watched her. No smile. No congratulations. No attempt to pretend this was anything like a normal wedding night. Mila could feel his attention moving over every tiny sign she was trying to hide. Her shoulders. Her breathing. The hand gripping her dress. She finally turned. If you're waiting for me to start trembling, you'll be disappointed. One corner of Min-jae's mouth moved. Barely. You're already trembling. Mila looked down at her hand. Traitor. She released the fabric immediately. Her pulse was pounding hard enough to qualify as its own percussion section, but Mila lifted her chin anyway. You don't scare me. That tiny almost smile disappeared. Min-jae took one step forward. Mila stayed exactly where she was. Another step would have put him inside the space she had mentally marked as hers. He stopped before crossing it. That surprised her. His gaze dropped briefly to the invisible boundary between them, then returned to her face. You should be more careful about what you pretend not to fear. And you should be more careful about assuming everybody in this house belongs to you. Now his eyebrows lifted. Good. At least she had managed to surprise the great Kang Min-jae once tonight. Then Min-jae spoke so calmly that Mila almost missed how deliberate the words were. Before this night ends, you'll be calling my name. Her heart stumbled once. Then irritation rescued her. Mila stared at him. And laughed. Not flirtatiously. Not nervously. She actually laughed. The expression on Min-jae's face was worth every terrible decision that had brought her into this room. That might be the most arrogant thing anyone has ever said to me. For the first time all evening, Kang Min-jae looked genuinely entertained. You've known me for 6 hours. 5 hours and 43 minutes. His eyes narrowed slightly. Mila folded her arms. I've been counting. And neither of them noticed the security camera outside their bedroom go dark. Outside their room, the camera remained dead. Not flickering. Not rebooting. Dead. 3 floors below them, an alert appeared on a security console. Then vanished before the system could record it. Inside the bedroom, Mila was still trying to decide whether Min-jae's arrogance was more irritating than his calm. She had no idea someone had just created a blind spot around her. Min-jae's amusement disappeared first. His head turned toward the door. Mila followed his gaze. What? He did not answer. His eyes stayed on the handle. Nothing moved. Still, his shoulders had changed. Only slightly. But the relaxed husband who had been teasing her seconds earlier was gone. The man standing there now looked like someone who had survived by noticing danger before everyone else. 3 knocks sounded. Measured. Even. Min-jae's eyes hardened. Who? Do-yun. Mila caught the difference immediately. Min-jae had relaxed when he recognized the voice. But not completely. He crossed the room and opened the door only halfway. Park Do-yun stood outside. And whatever he whispered erased the last trace of humor from Min-jae's face. The West Wing cameras dropped for 11 seconds. Min-jae's jaw tightened. Failure? Do-yun shook his head. Someone killed the feed manually. Min-jae looked past him toward the corridor. Entry breach? Nothing yet. The word yet sat badly between them. Then Do-yun added the part that mattered. The blind zone centered on this room. Mila heard that. Her stomach tightened. Min-jae turned and caught her looking. For several seconds neither of them spoke. Then he stepped back into the room. Stay here. Mila almost laughed again. Almost. You're going to have to do better than that. His stare sharpened. She pointed toward the hallway. Someone just disabled the cameras outside my bedroom on my wedding night. You don't get to tell me nothing and expect me to sit quietly. Min-jae closed the door. This time, he locked it himself. And before I tell you what Min-jae does next, if you're already caught in Mila's story, subscribe to Afro-Korean Collections. Every story we bring you takes time to build into something worth getting lost in, and subscribing is the simplest way to tell us you want more stories like this. Because what Mila did not know was that Min-jae had already made a decision about her. And whoever had touched those cameras was about to find out what that decision meant. You won't be alone tonight. Mila's eyebrows rose. I thought that was already the problem. His mouth almost betrayed him again. Almost. Then he became serious. 2 guards outside this door. Do-yoon controls the floor personally. And you? I'm staying. She stared at him. Min-jae stared back. You say that like it's supposed to make me feel safer. It should. Why? His answer came without hesitation. Because no one gets through me. 3 floors below, the cameras came back online. Every one of them. Do-yoon stared at the restored feed. Whoever had entered the system had already left. But before disappearing, they had done something else. They had opened the digital floor plan. And searched for one room. Not Min-jae's study. Not the vault. Not the family archive. The bridal suite. By sunrise, nobody had attacked. Which somehow made Mila more nervous. She had barely slept. Min-jae had kept his word and remained in the room. He had also kept to the sofa. No demands. No hands reaching for her in the dark. No attempt to collect whatever privileges the marriage supposedly gave him. That restraint disturbed Mila almost as much as his threats. Because monsters were easier when they behaved like monsters. By 8, Mila had changed clothes and rebuilt her courage. If the Kong family expected a frightened bride at breakfast, they were going to be disappointed. She looked at herself in the mirror. You chose this. The reflection did not look convinced. Mila lowered her voice. You had a reason. That part was true. Hidden somewhere inside this house was an answer she had crossed half a world to find. Madame Kong, so he looked Mila over before touching her tea. Not rudely. That would have been easier. She examined her with the quiet precision of someone inspecting a contract before signing it. So. Mila waited. So he lifted the cup. You're still here. Mila smiled. I wasn't aware there was a morning after evacuation policy. Min-jae lowered his coffee to hide something suspiciously close to amusement. So he noticed. That made her expression colder. The doors opened. Seo Hyrin walked in as if she had been invited to inspect the bride personally. Her gaze found Min-jae first. Then Mila. The smile that followed was flawless. Forgive me. I didn't realize breakfast had become a family event. Mila glanced at the empty chair. Apparently neither did I. Hyrin's eyes sharpened. Min-jae leaned back. Now he was definitely enjoying himself. Hyrin sat across from Mila. I've known Min-jae for 12 years. Mila buttered a piece of toast. Congratulations. Sohee's gaze moved between them. Hyrin continued. People who enter his life quickly usually leave it the same way. Mila looked up. Quickly. A pleasant smile. Sometimes. Min-jae's coffee cup touched the table. Softly. Hyrin stopped smiling. Hyrin. One word. Nothing louder. Nothing else needed. She looked at him. Min-jae's eyes stayed cold. You are speaking to my wife. Mila stopped breathing for half a second. Not because he had defended her. Because of how naturally he had said it. My wife. Hyrin heard it too. And the hatred she hid a second later had already been seen. An hour later, security found the first physical trace. A bypass transmitter had been installed inside the bridal wing before the wedding. Not after. Before. Someone had known exactly where Mila would sleep. And exactly when she would arrive. Seal the estate. Do-yoon looked over. Completely. Completely. No staff rotation. No deliveries. No departures. Duyun studied him for a fraction too long. Min Jae noticed. What? Nothing. Say it. Duyun's expression barely changed. You've never locked down the entire house for one person. Min Jae looked back at Mila's floor on the monitor. Now I have. If you're still here with Mila right now, tell me where you're watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments, tell me what time it is there, and leave the emoji that best describes how you feel about Min Jae right now. Because whether you trust him or not, one thing has become very clear. Someone inside this house knew Mila was coming. And Min Jae was beginning to realize his marriage might not have been the only thing arranged in advance. You locked the gates? Yes. Then unlock them. No. Mila stared. Do you answer every disagreement with one syllable? When one syllable is enough. She placed both hands on his desk. I am not your prisoner. Min Jae's gaze dropped to her hands. Then back to her face. If I wanted you imprisoned, Mila, you wouldn't have to ask. Her stomach dropped. His voice softened. This is me keeping you alive. It was the first time he had said her name without mockery or command behind it. Just Mila. Her anger lost its footing. Only for a second. She straightened. Who would want me dead? Min Jae did not answer quickly enough. Mila noticed. You know something. I know many things. About me. His face gave her nothing. That is what I'm trying to determine. Something crashed in the corridor. Min Jae moved before Mila even processed the sound. 1 second she was standing beside the desk. The next, he was between her and the door. His hand closed around her arm. Not painfully. Firmly. Protectively. Mila looked down at his fingers. Min Jae followed her gaze and released her immediately. Neither mentioned how fast he had moved. It was only a vase. A nervous staff member had clipped a table while security searched the floor. Nothing more. Mila should have relaxed. Instead, she kept thinking about Min Jae's hand on her arm. Not the touch. The instinct behind it. He had not checked himself first. He had covered her. And that was far more dangerous to her than arrogance. By nightfall, Mila needed air. Or at least the illusion of it. The terrace doors were guarded. The gates were sealed. Even the beautiful Seoul skyline now looked like something she could see but not reach. She placed both hands on the railing. You'll freeze. Min Jae's voice came from behind her. She did not turn. Maybe I'm considering it. Min Jae stopped beside her. Not too close. She noticed that too. You hate being told what to do. Brilliant observation. Yet you married me. Mila's fingers tightened around the railing. There it was. The question beneath every other question. Why? She looked toward the city. I had reasons. So did I. That made her turn. What reasons? His eyes met hers. Maybe someday I'll tell you. Her phone vibrated. Mila glanced down. Taesung. Min Jae saw the name. She saw him see it. Don't. His gaze remained on the phone. I haven't said anything. Your face has. I have a face. Apparently one specifically designed to interrogate people. The phone kept ringing. Min Jae looked at her. Answer it. Mila frowned. Why? I'd like to hear his voice. She stared at him. Then slowly smiled. Oh. Min Jae's eyes narrowed. Oh what? You're jealous. I don't get jealous. Mila's smile widened. Of course not. I don't. Then why are you glaring at my phone like it owes you money? His jaw tightened. That was answer enough. Mila declined the call. Min Jae looked almost offended. I told you to answer. And I told you you're jealous. I am your husband. That's not a denial. For once, Kang Min-jae had absolutely nothing useful to say. Mila's gaze caught the thin scar through his eyebrow. How did you get that? Min-jae's amusement vanished. She almost withdrew the question. Then he touched the scar once. My father. Mila went still. Min-jae looked back toward the city. He believed pain made boys useful. There was no self-pity in his voice. That made it worse. Mila's anger toward him loosened somewhere she did not want it to. A cold gust moved across the terrace. Mila shivered. Min-jae noticed. He removed his coat from a nearby chair and settled it around her shoulders. No comment. No teasing. His hands never lingered. Mila pulled the coat closed. It smelled faintly of cedar and something darker she could not name. Thank you. His eyes flicked toward her. That might have been the first uncomplicated thing she had said to him. You're welcome. Beyond the perimeter wall, a camera lens shifted between branches. One photograph. Then another. Whoever was watching did not care about Min-jae. Every frame centered on Mila. Across the city, Lee Tae-sung received the photograph. He enlarged it. Mila stood wrapped in Min-jae's coat. Tae-sung stared for a long time. Then he made one call. She's inside. A voice answered. He listened. No. Don't touch Min-jae. His eyes stayed on Mila's photograph. We need the woman alive. The next afternoon, Mila found the first crack in the family's history. A missing photograph. She had passed the gallery twice already. This time she noticed the clean rectangle on the wall. Something had hung there for years. Something someone had recently removed. Mila checked both ends of the corridor. Then she stepped closer. A tiny brass plaque remained beneath the empty space. No photograph. Only a date. 24 years ago. Mila's throat tightened. It matched the year written on the back of the photograph hidden inside her suitcase. The photograph her mother had kept until the day she died. Mila returned to her room and opened the lining of her suitcase. The old photograph was still there. Her mother's handwriting crossed the back. 3 words. Ask the Kangs. For 12 years, Mila had wondered what that meant. Now the empty space in the family gallery carried the same date. Coincidence had officially become impossible. Nala answered on the second ring. You look terrible. Mila stared at the screen. I got married yesterday. Exactly. Despite herself, Mila laughed. Then the laughter disappeared. I found the date. Nala's expression changed. The same one? Mila nodded. Something happened here 24 years ago. Nala lowered her voice. And you're sure you still want to know what? Mila looked toward the locked suitcase. I didn't marry him to turn back now. Outside the door, Hyrin heard only pieces. 24 years. Photograph. Kang. It was enough. Her face lost all color. She walked away before Mila opened the door. And instead of going to Min-jae, Hyrin went somewhere much more interesting. The family archive. That evening, Mila watched a staff member enter Min-jae's study carrying files. 5 minutes later, the same woman emerged empty-handed. Mila waited. Then she slipped inside. The study looked ordinary. Until she noticed one bookshelf sitting slightly forward from the wall. She pressed it. Nothing. Then the dark panel beside it released with a quiet click. Mila's pulse climbed. Rows of names. Companies. Properties. People. A history the Kang family had never intended outsiders to read. She moved toward the oldest shelves. Then stopped. One archival box carried the same date. 24 years ago. The file she needed was gone. Someone had removed it. Recently. Mila's frustration turned cold. Then she noticed the index card beneath the empty slot. A surname. Corey. Her own. Looking for something. Mila nearly dropped the card. Min-jae stood in the doorway. She closed her fingers around it. Couldn't sleep. So you broke into my archive? The door opened. You found a concealed wall panel by accident. Mila considered it. Very curious architecture. Min-jae almost smiled. Then his gaze dropped to her closed fist. The humor vanished. What are you holding? Mila slid the card into her pocket. Nothing. Min-jae watched the movement. He knew she was lying. She knew he knew. But instead of reaching for her or demanding the card, he stepped aside. Get out. Mila blinked. That's it? No. His voice had gone flat. That's what I'm choosing instead of what I want to ask. After Mila left, Min-jae opened the box. He found the empty space immediately. His face changed. Not anger. Recognition. He reached for the old index register. The missing file had been removed 3 days before the wedding. Authorized under his mother's credentials. Min-jae closed the book slowly. Now there were 2 women in the house lying to him. And one of them was his bride. That night, Min-jae dreamed about his father. He woke before the memory reached the part he hated most. The bedroom was dark. For several seconds, he could not remember where he was. Then he heard Mila breathing from the bed. Slow. Even. Alive. His shoulders lowered before he could stop them. You were talking. Min-jae looked toward the bed. Mila was awake. What did I say? Nothing. I understood. He looked away. She studied him. Bad dream? No. Another excellent one-syllable answer. A tired breath left him. Mila almost smiled. Then she saw his hand. It was shaking. Only slightly. Mila poured water and held it out. Min-jae looked at the glass. Then at her. Take it before I regret being nice. He accepted it. Their fingers brushed. Mila expected him to make another arrogant comment. He didn't. He drank. Then quietly said, "Thank you." The word sounded unfamiliar in his mouth. That made them feel real. My father used to lock me in a room when I disappointed him. Mila said nothing. Min-jae rotated the glass once between his hands. No lights. No windows. Her throat tightened. How old were you? The first time. He looked down. 6. Mila's anger at the man in front of her collided with something much harder to resist. Understanding. Mila crossed the room and sat beside him. Not touching. Just there. Min-jae looked at her once. Why are you doing that? Doing what? Staying. She thought about the question. Maybe I know what it feels like when nobody does. His eyes stayed on her. Something dangerous softened inside them. Mila saw it. And for the first time, she was the one who looked away. Their hands rested between them. Close. Not touching. Neither moved. The space between their fingers suddenly felt more dangerous than every threat Min-jae had made since the wedding. Then a phone vibrated on the table. The moment broke. Do-yeon had found something. Do-yeon had searched old employee records. The name Corey appeared once. 24 years earlier. A woman had worked briefly for one of the Kong family's companies. Then vanished from the records after 8 weeks. No resignation. No termination. No forwarding address. Just gone. Her first name was the same as Mila's mother. Min-jae read the name twice. Then a third time. Why wasn't this in the archive? Someone removed the original file. My mother. Her credentials were used. Min-jae looked up. Used? Do-yeon nodded. That doesn't mean she personally accessed it. Min-jae's fingers tightened around the paper. And Mila? She arrived in Seoul already looking for the Kangs. That hurt more than Min-jae expected. Hyrin had already decided Min-jae needed help reaching the wrong conclusion. She entered Mila's room while security was changing shifts. From her sleeve came an envelope. Old. Yellowed. Stamped with the Kong family crest. She placed it beneath Mila's clothes. Then closed the suitcase exactly as she found it. Min Jae told himself he was searching for security reasons. Then he found the envelope. His family's crest. His father's handwriting. And Mila's mother's name. The room seemed to shrink around him. He opened it. One sentence had been underlined. The child must never learn what happened. Min Jae read it again. The child. Mila. Mila stopped in the doorway. Min Jae was waiting. The envelope was in his hand. She had never seen it before. But she recognized her mother's name immediately. Her face betrayed her. Min Jae saw it. Who are you? Mila's mouth went dry. You know who I am. No. He held up the letter. I know who you told me you are. You searched my things. You entered my archive. That doesn't make this yours. No. Min Jae's voice lowered. But your lies made it my problem. Mila stared at the letter. I have never seen that envelope. His eyes hardened. Convenient. The word hit harder than she expected. Not because he doubted her. Because somewhere over the last 2 days, she had started caring whether he did. My mother knew your family. Min Jae went completely still. Mila continued. Before she died, she left me a photograph and 3 words. His voice was almost a whisper. What words? Mila swallowed. Ask the Kangs. The anger in his face changed. Not gone. Complicated. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have married me if I had? He had no answer. That was answer enough. Every light in the room died. Mila froze. Min Jae did not. His voice cut through the darkness. Down. A gunshot cracked somewhere below them. Then another. The estate alarms erupted. Red emergency light flashed beneath the bedroom door. Min Jae grabbed Mila's hand. This time, she did not tell him to let go. The corridor was almost black. Min Jae pulled Mila behind him. Stay on my left. Another gunshot echoed through the mansion. Mila's heart hammered against her ribs. Where are we going? Safe room. And everyone else? Do-yoon has them. A shadow moved at the far end. Min Jae stopped. Mila collided with his back. He pushed her behind the wall before she could breathe. Below them, Do-yoon was trying to reach the residential wing. 2 intruders were already inside. A third had disappeared from the cameras. That worried him more than the ones he could see. He pressed his earpiece. Min Jae, do not use the main safe room corridor. Static answered. The internal network had been cut. Min Jae reached the turn toward the safe room. Stopped. The passage was blocked. Not by accident. Someone had overturned a cabinet across it. Mila stared. They knew where we'd go. Min Jae's face turned colder. Yes. That single word frightened her more than the gunfire. Min Jae pulled open a narrow service door. This way. Mila looked into the darker passage. That looks worse. It is. Wonderful. Despite everything, Min Jae almost smiled. Then another shot cracked behind them. He pushed Mila through the doorway. Move. Mila saw the dark stain first. You're bleeding. It's nothing. You've been shot. Grazed. That's still a bullet. Mila. She grabbed his sleeve. Stop acting like being injured is an inconvenience. His eyes dropped to her hand. Even now, she was worried about him. The realization hit him harder than the bullet had. Min Jae caught Mila's face gently between his fingers. Listen to me. Her breathing came too fast. At the end of this passage is a door. When I open it, you run. What about you? I'll be behind you. You promise? His expression shifted. The arrogant man from their wedding night returned for half a second. Didn't I tell you? Mila stared. Before this night ends, you'll be calling my name. She almost laughed. Even terrified, she nearly laughed. You're impossible. Run anyway. The lock released. Cold air rushed through the opening. Min-jae looked outside. Clear. Go. Mila ran. 3 steps. 4. Then Min-jae heard something behind him inside the tunnel. He turned. That was the mistake. A hand came out of the darkness beyond Mila's sightline. She felt herself jerk backward. Her heart stopped. Min-jae spun around. Mila reached toward him. And the word tore out of her before fear gave her time to think. Min-jae. He froze. For one impossible fraction of a second, the promise from their wedding night returned to both of them. She had called his name. But not because he had seduced her. Not because he had won their ridiculous battle. Because she believed he would save her. Then the emergency lights failed completely. Darkness swallowed the exit. Min-jae ran. Mila. He reached the doorway. Nothing. No Mila. No attacker. Only cold night air and an abandoned gold earring on the concrete. Min-jae bent and picked it up. His bleeding hand closed around it. Behind him, Do-yeon finally reached the passage. Min-jae. Min-jae turned. Do-yeon had known him for 15 years. He had seen him furious. He had seen him wounded. He had watched him order men to their deaths without raising his voice. He had never seen this expression. Fear. Not for himself. For her. Min-jae looked toward the darkness beyond the estate. Close every road out of Seoul. Do-yeon stared at him. Every road. Airports. Train stations. Private fields. Ports. His fist tightened around Mila's earring. Find my wife. Do-yeon reached for his phone. Then Min-jae added one final instruction. And when you find who took her. His voice became terrifyingly quiet. Bring them to me alive. Because Kang Min-jae wanted answers. He wanted the truth about Mila's mother. He wanted to know who had planted that letter. He wanted to know why someone had spent 24 years making sure Mila never learned what happened inside the Kang family. But beneath every question was one truth he could no longer deny. Somewhere between Mila laughing in his face on their wedding night, arguing with him at breakfast, accusing him of jealousy, handing him water in the darkness, and sitting beside him when his childhood finally caught up with him. She had stopped being an obligation. She had stopped being strategy. And whoever had taken her had just discovered the one weakness Kang Min-jae had spent his entire life making sure he never possessed. Her. So this is where we're leaving Mila and Min-jae tonight.